Brian, very good to have you on here, sir. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you for having me.
I know we've been trying to coordinate this, so it's a big day that we're able to do this.
I wanted to build a little anticipation for it.
I think that you did. I think that you rightfully so did, and I think that the time has come to finally reap what we've been sowing here. So
Yes. Well, I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
thank you, sir. I caught you recently at one of the babies reunion shows in here in
Yeah.
Los Angeles or California in Los Angeles.
hmm Which show did you go to?
I believe
The
night
first one or the
one,
second?
night one, yeah.
Okay.
But yet it was fantastic. Fantastic to see that. Great performance.
Thank you. That was so fun. I mean, that was the first time I played live in front of anyone in like 7 years or something.
Wow.
So I was definitely like, I wasn't even nervous. I was just excited. It was really awesome. Both nights in LA, the crowds were incredible. I will say there was a show in New York that there was some feeling of having to win the crowd over.
Oh,
But that's a good challenge. I don't mind that.
I kind of mind that as an audience member. I kind of mind that a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah. I'm not trying to challenge an artist. Hey, do better because I'm here. What is that kind of nonsense?
No, everyone in LA like kind of felt like they were on our team and everyone was excited. Did it feel good in the audience?
It felt great. Yeah, and I got a nice corner to stand in because I don't like to block people's views, but I also want to, see the show. It was great. It was perfect. I was leaning up
Me
against a
too. That's been
wall.
a lifelong thing where I'm 6'4", so I really have to pick my place
You're
in the
front row
audience.
all the time, right?
Yes, and crowd surfing every
Of
show.
course. Have you ever crowd surfed?
No, no,
Will you ever crowd surf?
no. I couldn't bear to look on people's faces as I'm diving off the stage. Can you imagine?
I could. I think that the people at the LA show that I was at, I think that they were kind of anticipating it, honestly, Brian. I think that they're like,
Yeah.
when is he gonna do it?
Just a running start from the back.
I mean, you want to build some momentum. I mean, I think that
hmm
that's crowd surfing 101 for you.
Yeah. No, I never crowd surfed. I've never even had someone like hoist me up and, do it that way. Have
Hmm.
you? Have you crowd surfed?
No, no. I had the opportunity to do it once and I didn't want to do it. Mainly because I felt like somebody was gonna take my phone or something, and
I
or
know.
keys or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the
So
same concept of you can't throw anyone in a pool anymore.
that's true. Yeah. Because of the
There's too
keys,
much.
not because of the phone or anything.
No, because of your keys. Yeah.
When do you think the last year was that you can comfortably throw somebody in a pool and it wasn't going to screw up their whole life?
Well, I grew up like my friends and I would throw each other in the pool.
Hmm.
And I would say, yeah, like maybe 2002 when people started getting cell phones or when I got a cell phone.
Right.
Uh, that really became the last time. But that actually coincided with the last time I had a pool too. So it worked out.
Yeah. It was that was the end of the era for both of those
Yeah.
things. Yeah. Kind of
Yeah.
closing the chapter on that. Okay. There's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I've never crowd surfed. No, no, no. Never even considered it.
So next show that you go to, you're gonna try it out.
Yeah, well, me and my friend have this deal that if do you know that techno song Sandstorm?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
If that comes on somewhere and me and my friend Milo are in the same place and Sandstorm comes on, then he's going to hoist me up. And that could be at a restaurant, that could be at a cafe, but that's the deal. And I regret that deal. But
I think that's a great. I think that it's great that you guys have this pact
yes,
of it's gonna go down. You hopefully it's at a concert, but really hopefully it's at like a coffee shop or something. I think that would be best.
can you imagine?
I mean, all the cool coffee shops are playing Sandstorm.
Yeah.
Do Darude, I think, or
Yeah, yeah,
Daurd
yeah.
something.
Hmm.
I think that's how
That's
you say
right.
it. I could be wrong about the pronunciation of it, but the point being is, so this is a challenge for all coffee shop owners anywhere. If you see Brian in Milo, right? Was his name?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
if you see them coming in, change up the playlist.
Well, Milo tried to rig it where our good friend Angie plays drums in Sleater Kinney, and we
Hmm.
went to a Sleater Kinney show, and he tried to get the like front of house guy to put on Sandstorm, and it didn't work out. Thank God.
I like the lengths that he's going to, and also for those who don't know, Slater Kenny and this Sandstorm song, for those who aren't initiated, very same kind of vibe of music, so it's not really out of place for Sandstorm to be
Yes.
playing over the sound system.
Yeah, we figured it might happen anyways.
Yeah, they're probably gonna cover it. That's great. So but you're not gonna hoist him up. He's gonna hoist you up. That's the deal.
No, it's just for me. It's just for
Okay.
me. I said that was the agreement because he wanted me to crowd surf, but then he that was the agreement we came up with. Sandstorm.
And is this a one-time deal, or is this every
Yeah.
time it's okay? Okay.
Hmm. Just the first time. So, I'm praying it never happens, but if it does, I will keep up my end of the bargain.
Okay. I like it. You're a man of your word, Brian.
Yeah. Hmm.
You said that it's been 7 years since you played live.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Played
Yeah.
Sandstorm live is what I meant to say.
Right. I was the ghostwriter.
Right, right. That's just mailbox money. That's mailbox money
Yeah,
at this point. Mhm.
exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, the last baby show was 11 years ago. And then I played in some like bands with my friends around Brooklyn. And I want to say it's like 6 years ago that we last played a show. Um, so yeah, definitely playing that show in LA with the babies was, yeah, again, I wasn't nervous or anything. I was just like excited about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, I kind of wish that you were a bit nervous, so then the crowd would have the feeling of like, oh, you better impress us because you're so nervous. But since that
Right.
wasn't there, that's why the crowd didn't challenge you, I think, looking back on it
That's
now.
true. Yeah. Yeah. They're like, wow, that guy is confident.
Yeah. That guy's definitely gonna crowd surf if he wants to, if the time is right, if the right song's playing.
This guy seems to have like some sort of handshake deal about crowd surfing.
Um, Kind of taking a step back here, do you recall where your initial interest in music stemmed from or came from?
Um, yeah, back in middle school, I remember like my friend's older brother was super into Rage Against the Machine, and he had all these really cool Rage Against the Machine t-shirts. And we were like, whoa, what is that? And then so we got into Rage Against the Machine. And from there I got into Metallica. And then yeah, but I would say like Rage Against the Machine and Metallica were the first types of music that felt like, oh, my parents don't like this. Because I would listen to show tunes and the Beatles with my parents, but Rage Against the Machine, Metallica, I was like, not only do they not know about this, they probably wouldn't like it, which feels fun.
They're not signing off on it.
Yeah, yeah. So that was like the first time that music felt like kind of special to me.
Hmm.
And then from there, I got into punk and stuff, and then punk feels really special in that way, where you're like,
Uh,
oh, this is truly my little thing. Uh, and yeah, then it kind of just went from there.
have you ever owned a Rage Against the Machine t-shirt?
Yeah, I had an amazing one. I had an amazing one. That was like kind of, I think maybe a bootleg, and I was at the mall, and some guy offered me $20 for it off my back.
Did you oblige the man?
No, No. Um,
Also, what are you
because
gonna
I
wear out of the mall as well?
well,
You
I
know,
was like I could go to Hot Topic and get a Black Flag t-shirt, but I would have to walk from the food court to Hot Topic shirtless, which
he
didn't seem
he's
worth.
hitting you up at the food court to do this.
I was at the food court, yeah. Yeah.
That's an odd place for this to transpire.
Yeah. No,
But
I had a
also, you could
very cool Rage shirt and I don't know where it went. It might be somewhere like maybe at my parents' house or something. I should dig for it because it was a very good one.
yeah. Um, Also, you gotta, I mean, that walk into the store,
I would think that maybe the Hot Topic on Long Island has seen worse than a shirtless teen.
probably, probably
Yeah.
way worse. Yeah.
Much, much worse.
So was it pretty soon after, getting into Rage Against the Machine and this kind of stuff that you took a step back and got into punk bands? Was that pretty in the same time frame that we're talking about here?
um, yeah, a few years later, uh, I remember I was really into Rage Against the Machine, and then I also did like when I was younger, I did like competitive mountain biking, and there
Ooh.
was this like mountain bike dude that he was like, "Oh, you like Rage Against the Machine?" I guess I was telling everyone at the time.
I mean, the shirt said it for itself, right?
Yeah, I might have had the shirt on. That's true. He's like, "You should listen to this hardcore band Inside Out, which is the singer of Rage Against the Machine's hardcore band." And I listened to it, and I was like, "It's pretty good." But I didn't really have any reference for like hardcore music. I actually kind of thought was like I remember showing it to my high school friends, being like, "Hey, this kind of sounds like Pantera." We really liked Pantera at the time, and they were like, "I don't know, dude. This doesn't really. This kind of sucks." But I really liked it. And then that same guy, um, he burnt me like a bunch of CDs with like 600 songs, and on that was like Bad Brains, Descendants, Black Flag, all the like kind of entry level punk stuff. And that's kind of how I got into that
Very
through those
nice.
CDs. And then it was also like the start of the internet. So, or not the start of the internet, the start of like social media and stuff. Um, so I would find out about shows on MySpace and I would sneak into the city from Long Island and go to some like hardcore punk shows. And yeah, I did it all through high school. I kind of did it solo. I brought my high school friends to one punk show and they're like, dude, it smells so bad in here. We gotta go. We gotta go. And I was like, you can go, but I'm gonna stay. And they were right. It smelled so bad. It was like the middle of the summer in some like anarcho squat building. Um,
Which is so unlike this venue. I mean, you would think that it would smell so good in there. Usually, all concert venues smell really, really, really good. So that's kind of just the odd man out in that situation.
yes, I know. And it was like summer, yeah, in the city, some unair conditioned punk space. And yeah, they were like, we're getting out of here. So I was kind of into punk kind of by myself all through high school.
And when did you start to say, "All right, I want to start making music myself or be a part of making music"?
I started playing guitar in middle school, literally to like play Rage Against the Machine songs with my friends. Um, and then yeah, through punk definitely offered like, oh, you can do this with your rudimentary skills, just try and make something cool. But I didn't have anyone to like jam with. So in high school, I wanted to be in bands and I would play guitar and stuff and I would go to shows, but I was also really shy. I wasn't like meeting anyone at shows. I was kind of just a wallflower checking it out and then getting back on the Long Island Railroad and going home. Um, but then when I went to college, I met a bunch of people that played music and we started our first band called Cheeky, and it was me and three women. Um, and that was kind of my entry. Cheeky started playing shows in Brooklyn and New York, and that's how I kind of got to know all the people in the punk community. And a lot of those people are my friends to this day. Yeah, so
Right on.
it was really in college. In high school, I was just kind of a spectator and playing guitar at home. And then, yeah, I finally met people in college who were like also musicians and wanting to play.
Did your experience in that first band help solidify like, oh yeah, I really want to continue making music?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. I think it did. I mean, there was never even a question about it. You know, it's just kind of what you did and what all my friends did, and we would form other bands, and yeah, yeah, I never, not until much later did I have to like confront, like, is this something I want to do? It was literally just what my friend group was doing, and what my social scene was, going to shows, band practice, you know, recording every once in a while. So yeah, there wasn't much decision making in it, I would say. I was just kind of riding the wave of it.
Very punk. Very punk of
Mm.
you. Yeah. Were you playing guitar in the first group, in these first couple of groups?
Yeah, so I learned how to play guitar, and um then there was this band that my friends were in called Suicide Fix, that they needed someone to play bass. And I was like, that's basically guitar, which is kind of still how I think about it. I'm like, that's basically guitar with big strings. Uh, so I started playing bass in Suicide Fix, and then, but I was mostly playing guitar. Like, bass was never like, I never took bass on passionately. I always kind of considered myself a guitar player who would play bass in bands if
It's
need be.
basically the same thing. Basically the same thing.
It was basically the same thing. And it was basically much easier than playing guitar. So I like doing it.
So these shows that you're playing at this time, was it kind of in the area of where you would travel into the city to go see shows? And now that you're just kind of a part of it in that region?
Yeah, yeah. So I was actually up at college, like a little north of New York City, and pretty much every weekend I would come down to hang with people. I would come down to Brooklyn to hang with people and play shows. And there was like a couple houses that had shows. And when I graduated college, I wanted to move to New York City. So I just moved to one of these punk houses. And
Air conditioning or no air conditioning?
there was air conditioning, but no heating in my little room. I had a little room that was
You can't have
$400.
both. You know, you can't have both.
No, no.
Yeah. Four hundred
But
dollars
I
though.
loved it.
That's pretty
It-
expensive.
yeah. At the time, I was like, I'm struggling to make this work.
Yeah, yeah. It is. It's every month is a new ordeal.
Yeah. But yeah, just starting to play shows, making friends in the city. After college, I just kind of wanted to move to New York because that's where all my friends were. And it was kind of seamless, you know. I had already
Mhm.
been this house I moved into, I already had friends staying there. I would stay there all the time when I came down to hang out. So yeah, it was kind of a seamless transition.
Very nice. And real quick, what did you go to college for?
I went to college for environmental science because I just kind of wanted to work outside. I wanted to, at the time, I think I wanted to be like on the trail crew on the Appalachian Trail, like fixing, like cutting new trails. Or this was all from like my mountain biking
Right, right.
past, where I was like, oh, I
That's
like
the
being
gateway.
outside, and that was my gateway. Yeah. And yeah, I would do these like mountain biking, like trail work days where you're just kind of hiking a trail and fixing like drainage problems. And I was like, this is nice. Like I could, you know, so I didn't know how to like. I didn't know what to. There's not like trail. There's not like hiking majors at colleges. So I went for environmental studies or environmental science. And then when I moved to New York, I got a job doing forestry at Parks Department, which was kind of just being out in the woods, messing around.
And did you report to a place in the city?
Yeah, yeah. I met in Chinatown every day, and I was part of like a crew of 9 people, and we would get in a big van and drive. It was cool. Every day was different. We would drive to a different park in New York City and do some work that day. So that was actually like a great job. I saw all these different neighborhoods. I learned about all these different lunch spots. We had incredible lunches, and yeah, yeah,
Maintaining the concrete jungle.
the concrete jungle. Yeah. Well, I just wanted a job that I could work outside and work with plants. I still do it. I'm still a gardener in New York City. Um, like I wanted to be outside and in nature, but I also wanted to get like a bacon, egg, and cheese for breakfast. So I really working at Parks Department was the middle of that Venn diagram.
There you go. And that's where you needed to be. And that's where you are now.
Yeah, I'm no longer at Parks. I work at New York University, taking care of.
Even better is what
Yes,
I
yeah,
was gonna say.
yeah. It's been a journey from Parks, but yeah. Now I'm at NYU, and I just take care of the gardens around campus. It's very like relaxed and nice. I just kind of walk around Greenwich Village all day with my tool bucket, tending to my gardens. Um,
With a bacon, egg, and cheese, or
sometimes,
yeah, depends.
sometimes, yeah, depends.
Okay, Brian, that's cool. I mean, like it hurts when you hear about people living the life that you want to live, you know? Like it's kind of
Does that
difficult.
sound nice to you?
This is very nice. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
walking around and I mean, are you listening to tunes sometimes, by the way, when while you're gardening?
Yeah, yeah. Because there's this interesting thing at NYU where, NYU owns a lot of like real estate, and they build a lot of new buildings or renovate buildings, and they want the buildings to be LEED certified, which is like they get, it's like ecological design. Um, because they want to like say, oh, our buildings are ecologically designed. And the easiest way to do that is to put a green roof on the roof.
Mm.
That gets you like a lot of like points towards your LEED certification. So a lot of these new buildings have a green roof. So they don't let anyone on these roofs. I'm the only one allowed on these rooftop gardens, which is crazy because no one even knows that they exist. But I have to go up there and maintain them. So yeah, I that's where I don't put it in music when I'm like walking around, but if I'm up on one of these roofs, yeah, I'll definitely listen to a podcast or music or something. Yeah.
That is the place to do it for sure.
Hmm.
Maybe a podcast about Rage Against the Machine bootleg t-shirts.
Yeah. Does
Now
it exist?
I mean, it doesn't until now, Brian. Please take that and run with it, please. All
Yeah.
right. So I mean, if I didn't have this podcast, that's exactly what I'd be talking about. Just exclusively bootleg Rage Against the Machine t-shirts.
I'm gonna look on eBay later because I want to see. I remember what the design for mine was, and I want to see what it's going for
Mhm.
now.
More than $20, probably, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah. So it was an investment to say no to that guy in the food court.
Absolutely. You know what you were doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was in full control.
Right. I mean, per usual, Brian. That's how people describe you. Very in control, very
Yeah,
stoic,
that's
not
right.
crowd surfing, even though I mean everybody knows that you could, but you
I
don't.
could. Yeah,
You hold back. Yeah. The
yeah.
mystique.
They're like, this guy will crowd surf for one song. We don't know what that song is, but we can tell that it's one song.
Yeah.
And now I'm
That is
telling the world that is Sandstorm.
yeah, but I mean that's the vibe that you've been giving off for years, and that's what this podcast is about, is kind of getting to the bottom of things.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm glad that that's out.
I'm glad that you use this platform to finally tell people about it. This is big, big, big stuff. So getting back to first moving to the city, because you said that you were in Long Island. That is that where you grew up?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
I grew up in Western Massachusetts and Long Island.
very nice. Is that now what part of Western Massachusetts? Just so we got a gauge on it.
I grew up in this town, East Hampton, which is really close to Amherst, and by
Hmm.
like all those colleges, like Smith College and Mount Holyoke and uh, Amherst College, UMass Amherst. Um, so yeah, I was born on Long Island, and then I grew up there for 15 years in East Hampton, and then right before high school, I moved back to Long Island.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Do you think that you'll ever move back to Long Island?
No, I don't think so. I really love the city. I mean, Long Island is so close. I can go see my family in like 45 minutes.
But you don't you go, no, 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 I'm all right. I'm
It's
all right.
yeah,
You go, I'm a true New Yorker. That's not New
yeah.
York.
I was like, you come visit me.
Yeah. If anything. Yeah, I'm not gonna go out there. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, I go see them from time to time. Long Island is cool. I like the beaches are beautiful. Um, but yeah, I still love living in the city. I never really considered moving to Long Island.
Can I get your opinion on this hot topic here?
Yeah.
Is Staten Island a borough?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I thought there's gonna be way more pushback on that. Okay, Brian. All right.
No,
Yeah.
I
These
mean,
this these are the kind of stuff that people are afraid to ask. So
Staten
that's
Island gets a lot of shade, but
mhm.
um, yeah, yeah, it's a borough. I mean, it's its own thing. It's not Manhattan. Let's not lie to ourselves here. But I would absolutely call it a borough. And actually, at that Parks job, I spent so much time in Staten Island, so I kind of got to know it pretty well. Um, yeah, a lot of people don't spend time on Staten Island. That's why I think they think it sucks. But I spent time there, and I also think it sucks. But I would consider it a borough.
I would love to see you try to tell that to the either the Impractical Jokers or the Wu-Tang Clan because they are both gonna fight you on that, Brian. I'm just telling you right
I
now.
know, I
Yeah.
know, I know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that the Impractical Jokers are from Staten Island.
Yeah. That's like their whole thing.
Wow, I didn't know that.
This is current New York history that America is aware of now.
Okay. Well,
Impractical
don't tell anyone
Jokers.
in the Wu-Tang Clan about that.
I mean, Jizza listens. I'm not gonna tell him not to listen. I mean, he's subscribed. Um, so you're in New York.
Yeah.
You finally moved to the city, and are you primarily playing bass in these kind of different side projects as you kind of traverse through the music scene at this point, or are you still kind of bouncing between guitar and bass?
I was playing guitar in most of the bands, and it was a lot of just like punk bands that we would form and, maybe not even play a show, uh, or play a couple shows or record some demo in our practice space. But it was mostly guitar. Yeah.
Which is basically bass, but a little bit more complex.
Yeah. Yeah, tinier strings and harder to play.
Was it through kind of getting to know different people in different bands and whatnot, and forming these different projects that you cross paths with the babies at this point?
Yeah, so I knew Justin from the punk scene. Um, we were buddies already. And then I knew Kevin from just being around. Um, the first time I met him, Kevin came down to a show. My first band, Cheeky, was playing in Philadelphia, and Kevin jumped in the van with us. and came down to Philly. And actually, funny enough, there's a picture of us that night, and I'm wearing the Rage Against the Machine shirt. That's no joke. But
So I mean, it did last pretty long. I
it
mean,
did
there was
last
it
because
was in
it,
the rotation.
it was in rotation because I was like, this is a cool Rage Against the Machine shirt. But anyways, yeah. So I knew Kevin a little bit. Me and Justin were buddies, and then uh, when they needed a bass player, they asked me, and then I hung out with Justin and Cassie, and that's the first time I met Cassie.
Very
We got
nice.
coffee, and yeah, but I kind of knew, like, I knew Vivian Girls, and I knew Kevin was playing in Woods at the time. It was all that was a little bit of a different scene than what me and my friends were doing. Me and my friends were kind of more in like a pop punk thing. Um, but yeah, I knew all those people and I knew those bands. And I knew the babies. I like they had put out a couple 7 inches that I had, and I've seen them play, and I thought they were awesome. Um, so I was like so excited when they asked me to join the band.
Real quick, for those who haven't, please go back and listen to the Justin Sullivan episode of this podcast that I did with him. Fantastic episode.
But yeah, it was funny because I Justin asked me to come jam with him and Kevin, and I was on a tour, and it was like a terrible DIY punk tour. And literally, I we played the matinee show at this punk house in Knoxville, Tennessee, and there was no one there. 0 people came, and that was just the matinee show. There was a later show too that was kind of like a crust punk show, and I remember falling asleep in that punk house that night, and a bunch of the crust band guys were smoking crack in the same room, and I was like, oh, this feels a little dark. Like, I don't know if I want to do this. It feels negative. So then I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do this. Like I haven't showered in days. Sleeping next to like all my equipment. Um, we played to no one.
You're borderline crust at this point.
Yeah, I'm like cosplaying crust. And then and I knew, so then the next day actually Justin was like, hey, when you get back to New York, do you want to jam with me and Kevin? I was like, yeah, great, because I knew the babies were like a little bit more established.
Yeah, you guys aren't smoking crack, right? So yeah, I will. Yeah,
No,
I'll come.
not yeah.
I'll come and jam with you.
I
That's your threshold. Are you smoking crack? I cannot come play. If you're not, yes, I'll be happy
I'll
to.
entertain it if you're not smoking crack.
Right.
Yeah.
There's lines. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And not lines of crack or cocaine for that matter.
Right.
None of that. I like how I was speaking about that as I was scratching my chest like that.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
it's a good
What's
visual.
going on over there?
Just just crust punk stuff. I don't think you'd understand. Anyways, so Justin hit you up to jam with you and Kevin. Now did you know that this was for like the babies, or was it did you just look at it as like a okay, just like a jam kind of session thing?
Yeah, no, I knew that it would be um like testing the chemistry to see if I would play with the babies.
Very nice. And what was who was the first bassist for the babies?
This guy Nate, who was in amazing bands. And I loved him in the babies too. Like he looked so cool, and yeah, so I was kind of like, oh damn, those are some like shoes to fill.
Yeah, did you feel like what you brought to your bass playing and what he was bringing to his bass playing was kind of similar in a way, or did you feel like you guys were kind of different at some points?
Yeah, that's a good question. I I guess because I never thought of myself as a bass player, I didn't think that I had a particular style. And these songs were already all written, so I was like, I'll just kind of play the bass that goes along with these songs. I didn't really feel like there was any liberty to like go off with the the bass playing.
I know how it sounds, but I have an idea of how it should sound. So let me just, if
Right.
you would indulge me.
Yeah. So no, no, I didn't really have a particular bass style, and I definitely listened back to the stuff that the babies had already recorded, and yeah, Nate did some cool stuff that I kind of mimicked, and then if I thought there was like a pocket for me to do something original, I would do it. But yeah, yeah,
Did you feel odd about playing these songs that were previously written?
no, no, it was great because really to that at that point, I had never really been like the creative force in a band. I kind of always prided myself on being like, I can learn the songs. I hope I'm a good hang. Like, I'm not doing crack. Uh,
I mean, these are key features
yes, I
of
thought
being
these
a
were
desired.
all
Yeah.
positives. Um, so yeah, I didn't, there was never a thought like, oh, it's not my band, because no band was ever really my band. Uh, so yeah, I was like more than happy to play these songs.
Right
I was
on.
actually happy that they were recorded so I could listen to them and learn them and come prepared.
Did it was it difficult at all for you to get the hang of like how it sound or how it's supposed to sound, or was it pretty natural? Like, okay, I understand how to play
Yeah,
these.
I don't have like the best musical ear, so it took definitely some like fumbling around. And I also had to um I forget the exact timeline, but like pretty quickly I had to learn all the baby songs. I guess I hung with Kevin and Justin. The chemistry was good. I met Cassie, and then they had stuff coming up like right away. We were gonna play two shows in Williamsburg opening for this band Yuck. And then we were kind of immediately going to Europe for like 4 weeks. So I had to learn all these songs really quick. So I do remember sitting in my room like and not having the best musical ear, being like, oh God, like am I gonna be able to do this? But luckily we had enough band practices before we played live that anything that was like funky got ironed out, or any like bad notes got worked out. Um, and the baby songs are like relatively pretty easy to learn and play, which was helpful. Well, it would be like a crazy challenge if I had to play guitar in that band.
Were
Like I've
you
never played guitar in a band where I had to learn other people's songs.
oh, okay?
I've only played bass in bands where I've learned other people's songs.
But if anybody could do that, it's you, Brian, and we know that by now, of course.
I don't know.
Uh, were
Maybe
you?
not.
I think I got the right end of this. Uh, regarding, were you switching back to bass from that other band that you were playing in before in Knoxville, or were you playing bass in that group as well?
No, I played guitar in that band. Yeah.
Gotcha. And do you recall the first show in Williamsburg with the babies?
Yeah, yeah. It was at the Music Hall of Williamsburg, which is like kind of a like big venue. I mean, you know, for context, that was probably like, I don't know, maybe a month after I was playing to no one in Knoxville. And
So there was a pretty big gap of time in between playing on the porch and sleeping where the crack was being smoked and then playing in this venue.
yeah,
Enough time to really turn everything around. Yeah.
yeah. Another funny thing about that Knoxville show is that we had like the opener for the matinee show, and there's no one in the audience. It was this kid who lived in town, and he was maybe like 15 or 16, and he was into black metal, and he did like a solo black metal set where he just had like pre-recorded drums, like a crazy blast beat, and then he would play really heavy metal guitar, but in his like very like sweet teenage voice, he would go, and again, this is to no one. It's to me. I'm standing in the audience, but he would go, yeah. So this song is about when you mess with the occult and you don't know what you're doing. And then he'd like rip into this like crazy black metal song. um, that was a highlight maybe of that tour.
I would say so, and that really spoke to you, like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. I remember my days.
We've all
Uh,
been there.
I mean, we've all been there. Uh,
And I wish I knew this song. I wish I took this song as a warning.
yeah, I mean, hey, he was doing you a service.
No
Um,
one told me to not mess with the occult
up until that point.
up until
Up,
that point.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did that kid end up? Was he on the audience? Were you playing to him when it was your turn to play? Did he stick
Yeah, I
around?
think him and his dad. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So he was with his dad.
Yeah, his dad helped him like set up the computer and stuff. Um, yeah, so we played, I guess, to that kid and his dad. So two people.
People, yeah, not bad.
But then, yeah, so a couple months later, I'm playing like a nice, a nice venue in Williamsburg. That was like probably the first time I had a like we had a dressing room that night, which I never had. So that was cool.
And the dad showed up to that show, right? Not the son, but the dad showed up to the to
Yeah,
the show in Williamsburg. I believe, right?
yeah.
Which
Well, you
was
know who
odd.
that kid turned out to be? Kevin Morby. No, I'm joking.
I have seen a picture that
That was his start.
um yeah, yeah, I mean historically in Knoxville for for his teenage years, I've
Yeah,
heard.
messing with the occult, but
Right.
knowing what he's doing.
But knowing, yes.
Yeah,
And then oh my God stemmed from that kind of that's all this is all coming together. His
right,
album, oh my
right.
God, really yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Which I mean, I think Pitchfork already discussed that, so I don't want to go over, stuff that's already been gone over before. Or it was either Pitchfork or Brooklyn Vegan. I can't remember which one wrote the
Yeah,
article on that.
yes, yes. Extensive interview.
Yeah, really, really got into it. So going from that Knoxville show, and
Hmm.
then kind of shifting gears, was that, did you feel like that was your kind of entry into a new chapter within music? Did you feel from those like early shows?
Yeah, definitely. And it's something that I wanted at the time because prior to that uh DIY tour I did, I roadied for this band Screaming Females. They were like good buddies of mine. And they were from the same scene that all my bands were from, but like they just did it a little bit more professional. And roadieing with them, like I just liked like they really like to sound check, they like to get to the venue, and they just kind of took it serious or like more serious than the bands I was in were taking it. And yeah, so I was definitely craving some of that. Um, but yeah, but then in reality, if you're playing to no one in Knoxville, it's really hard to be like, "Hey guys, can we get a little serious here?" Like there's there's no sound check to even show up for. Um,
There, it's a numbers issue at that point, which is kind
yeah,
of like an odd issue to have. It's like realistically, we could take it seriously, but for what exactly? Yeah.
right, right, yeah. So being the roadie for that Screaming Females tour, I was like, "Oh, this is like cool and attractive to me." Like just taking it like just a little bit more serious and um even like Screaming Females would like they'd like warm up backstage before they played. Like there was some reverence for the fact that they're gonna go play a show. Like I would be drinking a beer and then like take two steps and then I'm performing, you know. Um, so I just kind of liked I think at that time I needed a little bit more meaning behind all this effort you put into this thing. And so I was like really ready for that when the babies called me.
And did you feel like that sense was present within the band immediately?
Definitely. Yeah. Um, and I knew that about the band, which was like one of the reasons I wanted to join. That I knew that they took it serious, and yeah, I mean, like nothing was militant. It's just like, um, yeah, and a lot of it's just playing bigger shows. You have to sound check, and like, you know, you got to show up on time. So yeah, it's just kind of built into it. But I was totally ready for that when I joined the babies.
So it was two shows and then it was off to Europe,
Yeah, yeah, it was like Brooklyn show, then France. Then we played in France. Yeah,
which
it
is
was crazy.
obviously the logical next step. Yeah, two shows
Yeah,
in Brooklyn and then France. Yeah.
yes. I was like, we've conquered the United States.
Look,
Let's hit Europe.
I don't want to backtrack and do the States again. Like
No,
that's old news.
we've proven it. We can do it. Let's try Europe. But they had already been to Europe. Like this was all just kind of new stuff for me, which was really fun.
Yeah. Did you get a sense of how you should be operating on stage with those two shows? Or did you kind of find your footing within this tour?
Oh, that's a good question. Like, you mean like my stage presence or like,
Both stage presence and just kind of figuring out the songs live in front of people in this new kind of environment.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I think that we were pretty well rehearsed. I mean, I even felt this with the reunion shows where like we practiced a whole bunch. Like we had like 18 hours of practice before we flew to LA. Nothing really prepares you for that feeling of being on stage. Like it's a whole different thing. Like in the rehearsal studio, I'm like, man, I'm killing it on the bass. And then you get up in front of a bunch of people and you're like,
I'm
I'm
still killing it
kind
on
of
the
like
bass.
I'm like flying by the seat of my pants here. But um yeah, no. It didn't take much figuring out when I first joined the band. I mean, I kind of knew like visually like Kevin and Cassie were the singer songwriters like up front. Definitely the first bass player Nate, he would stand in the back by the drums. And that's kind of where I wanted to be too, you know. I didn't, it would be odd if I was up
I don't
front.
I
And
don't I don't know why. I mean, I went to the show. It felt odd that you weren't. I mean, I just thought the layout would be differently. That was on me though. But
yeah,
if
you
there's it
wanted me to have a catwalk out into the audience.
ideally, yeah.
Yeah. But actually no, like I'm playing live, I've never like been super animated. I've never moved a lot. Um, so I very much feel like my home is in the back with the drums. And
Did
that's
you
where I feel comfortable.
until now, until the next time that you play, then now it's just up front and
Can
and
you
and
imagine?
close. Not even up front, all the way up front, as
Yeah.
in the crowd surfing. Like
Yes.
there's gonna be a big shift, so watch out.
Watch out, everyone.
Yeah,
Literally.
it's sandstorm every night.
Yeah.
So did you feel like after that first tour that it was pretty solidified that you're like, yeah, okay, this is like a structured thing that I'm becoming a part of, and this is gonna kind of take precedence over these other groups.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. It was just so much fun. It was so much fun, and it was like a new, like that tour in Europe. We had like a guy driving us around. I was like, this is crazy. Like this is so nice, you know. Um, it felt very comfortable, and yeah, with that comfort, just like you're like, oh, I'm doing like a thing. I can like think about playing the show or like relax or something. Like past tours was like chaos, chaos leading up into playing in front of people. This was just very like comparatively so sustainable and relaxed. But I always did gardening for money while I was doing bands. Like I never made enough money doing bands that I could stop gardening. So I always kind of did both.
I like that you have your feet in both of these worlds. I like the way
It
that you
really
live
worked
life.
out because, well, again, like music never presented like the opportunity to do it full time, especially because I wasn't like writing any songs. I was just, at best, I would be asked to be in someone's band where you make a little money doing it. And then, um, but yeah, so I always had to kind of work when I was back in New York City, and my work was always gardening. So it really did work out where, like, you know, I would be in with the babies in some green room in Germany and it's freezing cold. And then we had one Thanksgiving in Bremen, Germany that was like so no heat. It was like miserable.
So much like the apartment that you were living in, the
Yes, yeah,
$400 one. Yeah,
yes,
kind of felt like
very
home a little bit.
similar.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I didn't have my bed and I didn't have my Sopranos DVDs with me in Germany. So
yeah,
it was
and
even
that's
less comfortable.
it's just not the same. If Tony's not there,
I know, I
yeah,
know. My family wasn't there.
yeah, the gabagool's not there. There's just stuff that you miss.
Yes, but yeah, in those moments where like touring is hard, because it's hard sometimes, I would be like, oh well, thank God I can go back and take care of my gardens. And then yeah, as you're gardening and you're like carrying 50-pound bags of soil up to a roof, you're like, oh, I can't wait to go to Europe next month and play music. So they always just kind of like complemented one another. And I always liked doing both. They were kind of like equally part of my identity.
Do you feel like if one was subtracted, whether it be the gardening and you were doing full-time music, that was supplementing your life, that you would feel like it was a bit overwhelming? And on the flip side of that, do you feel like if you're just doing gardening, that you felt like, am what am I doing at that point?
Well, yeah, so the music thing never happened, but the gardening, like full-time gardening happened because the baby stopped playing shows. And in 2011, or no, whenever, 11 years ago, whatever that was. But
Whenever that is, the folks at home could do the math.
yeah,
Put
we
it on
stopped
them,
playing
Brian.
shows. And that coincided with this like gardening company I was working for asking me to be the full-time head gardener. So I kind of just took that opportunity, and then I did definitely feel a void with not having a band or music in my life. But that's when I just started jamming with friends in Brooklyn and doing stuff like that. Um, so yeah, there was like a very long period. I mean, I'm still in the period where I'm a full-time gardener and I do music for fun.
Do you think that if it was the main thing, that it would eventually become less fun than it is, or than how you perceive it now?
I don't know. That's a great question because like again, I don't know. I definitely with these babies reunion shows because it's not like the way I make money or what I do with my time, it could all just kind of be fun, you know? Like I was like, man, even if no one I knew some of the shows had sold out, but I was like, even if no one comes to the shows, I'd still like hanging with my friends and it was just all fun. There wasn't a lot of pressure on it. Uh and I think it was fun for everyone else in the band too, but it was just really foreign from my normal life. we did a photo shoot at the Chelsea Hotel, and I came from work, and I was like, this is so weird and cool. Uh, so I definitely did just try and stay present in being like, oh, this is really different from your normal life, uh, but it's really fun and nice.
Was there
And then if it was a full time thing, I don't know. I don't know how it would feel. Um, Probably still fun. I mean, playing music is fun.
we're gonna put that on a shirt. Playing music is fun.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be advertised. Did that recent photo shoot feel not completely foreign, but something that's like, oh, I haven't done something like this in a long time.
No, it felt pretty foreign. It
Okay.
felt pretty foreign, yeah. Um, because I was never even like comfortable with that kind of stuff, even back when the babies were doing stuff full time. Uh, and yeah, just 11 years later, yeah, it felt pretty foreign. I don't know. The only way I can say it is that it just felt like it felt foreign but really fun, as in like a vacation or something. You're like, oh, this is so different than my normal life. But yeah, I'm at the Chelsea Hotel hanging with my old friends. Like, it was great.
In what's his face? Leonard Cohen's room, right?
I don't think we're
I don't know what room he was in. The room that Sid Vicious killed Nancy Sponge in, which I maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't. Maybe that was
I don't know. I would love to know what room it was.
I don't know, but I'll send it over to you, Brian, and please do
Yeah,
some investigation work.
yeah,
And this podcast will take a turn into murder mystery,
yes.
which I've
And we
always
can do
wanted it
another
to.
podcast from the room. I'll rent the room for a night and we'll continue with the Sid and Nancy dialogue.
That sounds good. So yeah,
Yeah.
join us on the well, it'll be behind the Patreon, but it'll be a new podcast, and I'm stoked on it, Brian. Waiting for years to do this. Um, how soon after joining the band, and I'm assuming after this, the first European tour, did you start working on new songs, with the band?
Well, they had already written all the songs for the second album. Like
Which
that was
was Our House on the Hill? Was that the
yeah,
one?
yeah.
Okay.
Um that so those were songs I was learning too when I joined the band. They were already playing them live. So I had some recordings of those, and yeah, again, I'm not great with the dates or the timeline of it, but then we went to Los Angeles and recorded that whole album over the course of like maybe a month or something, a few weeks. But yeah, those songs were already written,
Wow.
and some of them didn't have bass parts. Even in the studio, some of them didn't have bass parts. Like, uh, and I had to work on that. But yeah, yeah, pretty much everything was written before I joined the band. Like, I was never part of a writing session with the band.
I mean, you're just too professional. You say figure it out and bring me in when you're ready.
Yeah, I was like, you guys hammer it out. I'm gonna be on the beach.
Yeah,
Call
I
me
don't
when
have
you're done.
yeah, I don't have time for this. I gotta go. I gotta go relax.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was probably like, I have to go work.
Both relax and work. I had to do both of these things, so please figure it out. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Brian. Send that over. Um, so you were adding maybe a little bit here and there to these ideas that were already in place for the album.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of it was in the studio. I think we like recorded something like close to 20 songs for that record. And I probably had like um bass parts for like 11 of them. And then a whole bunch I just kind of did in the studio.
Did you enjoy working on that like that? It's like, hey, we need it kind of now, and
No, I
yeah,
hated
okay.
it.
I was hoping you were say, oh yeah, I loved it. That's the only way
No,
I
it's
can
so much
work.
pressure. It's so much pressure.
Yeah,
Because it's like, oh, the idea that you come up with now will be the idea on the record.
which you
Yeah.
love, and you love that stress, that the heat.
Yeah. No, it was difficult at times. Yeah.
Were the ideas that you're bringing to the table, did you feel of any apprehension of bringing them to the table? Or did you feel like I kind of know what would be good here?
No, I pretty much I trusted them to be like, hey, that part stinks, you know, or tell me if they didn't like something I was doing. But yeah, I would just kind of try something and they would tell me to tweak it or whatnot. Um, yeah, that's kind of how it worked. But I mean, a lot of my bass parts were super simple. Like, I wasn't doing anything insane. So,
Again, I've seen it live, so I would beg to differ, Brian. Um, I'm just
yeah.
saying.
But no, I think I have a memory of them like if they didn't like something, they would tell me. Uh, but there was a lot of freedom in just doing what I wanted to do.
Is there a specific song from that album that stands out to you for whatever reason?
As far as bass playing,
And yeah,
uh, I remember at one point Cassie went to play some Vivian Girl shows, and I think me, Kevin, and Justin recorded Moonlight Mile. We figured out and recorded Moonlight Mile really quick, and I really liked playing bass on that one. Um, and that one kind of just came together really nicely. And then uh, Slow Walking, I really liked playing bass on. Um, yeah, yeah.
now is there one that stands out to you for just another reason, not specifically the bass on it?
Um, well, I think Cassie's song "Baby" is like unbelievable, and I love playing that live. I'm like excited for it to come up in the set, and yeah, even in rehearsals, I'm like, oh god damn, this song is so good. I really love the song "Baby." Yeah.
And were most of all these songs kind of being hashed out in these performances before even getting into the studio?
Uh, yeah, definitely the ones that they were playing live, but then like a song like Moonlight Mile I had never heard before.
Maybe Cassie did, and that's why she left. She's like, I don't want to influence this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She invented a Vivian Girl show to go play.
Yeah, I gotta go do something. A show? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Bingo. Yeah, a show.
Um, yeah. Sorry, what was the question?
With some of these songs were already kind of being played and were kind of out in the public in the
Yeah, like
format of a concert.
yeah, Alligator, Mess Me Around. We had played those live. We would play Baby live. Um, what else? See the Country we would play live before recording. Uh, yeah, and then some songs on that record I didn't even play on, like Kevin Reed. They're kind of some of the more solo songs like That Boy and Wandering. I don't think I played on those. I think they were even recorded somewhere else. Uh,
At a Vivian Girls show.
Probably at the same Vivian Girl show. I was
The
sitting in the studio
Vivian
alone.
Girls
Yeah.
show. Hmm.
Like,
The
where is
show.
everyone?
Right.
um, Yeah.
How did you feel when that album finally came out?
Uh, I can't really remember. We definitely did like a US tour on it. I think we played Europe on it. Yeah, it was just exciting. It was cool. I mean, being in LA for a month was really nice to record it. Uh, yeah, yeah, I think I was stoked on it. And I liked that the band, I think more than being stoked on the record, I just liked that, oh, the record's done. Now we can like go on tour and play shows, and it just kind of meant the band was active, which I really liked being on tour with them.
Which is odd. No. Did you feel like the reception to the music outside of New York was still like the same? Like everyone was really digging it across, I mean, whether it be in California or Knoxville, Tennessee or something.
Yeah, you mean when we would tour on that record?
Yeah. Or I mean,
Yeah,
even on the other, I mean, just playing other songs, not even from that record specifically, the previous releases as well.
yeah, it was, you'd play like places, like kind of small cities, like, I don't know, like Detroit, and there would be like a bunch of people there, and you're like, oh my God, like how many, how did these people hear about it?
MySpace actually, it was MySpace. You know,
Yeah, I know, I'm
take
sure.
the train in from Ann Arbor.
um, yeah, that's actually what was crazy about the reunion shows too. I was like, well, we've never played to this many people. I was like, how did they all hear about it?
I can
But I
tell you
guess there's
how
like
I it was MySpace. I'm still
my
Tom told me about it. I said I'm gonna go to that, of course.
yeah. So no, just going around, yeah, playing wherever and people showing up was always cool. It actually felt more crazy in like Europe, like playing Prague, and there would be a whole bunch of people there. You're like, this is insane. Like how? How does it all work? I don't know.
And that's just one of the mysteries. And we'll be diving deep into that mystery specifically on our new podcast that doesn't have
Right.
a name yet, but I'm stoked to first episode Chelsea Hotel. Um, when did the band stop performing?
I think like 2013. Yeah,
Uh,
2013 we played our last show in Los Angeles.
did you feel like the Babies was a side project for Kevin and Cassie, especially that they had their own stuff going on, or was that kind of the main thing that they were working on and that kind of just split?
Um, I don't know. I never really had the concept of it as a side project. It actually felt like for Kevin, like kind of the his vehicle for his songwriting because he didn't have his solo career yet, and he was playing bass in Woods. Like it didn't feel like a Woods side project. It kind of felt like these are Kevin's songs that he's writing and recording and showing to people. And then with Cassie and Vivian Girls, yeah, maybe it was a little bit like a side project, but she never talked about it like that. It was also just another vehicle for her songs.
Besides when she left to go play the infamous Vivian Girls
That's
show.
true. She went to
Yeah.
play that fake Vivian Girls
Right.
show. Yeah, so it definitely didn't feel like a side project to me, nor I would say anyone in the band. That's
Right.
kind of how it gotten written about because Vivian Girls and Woods were known bands at the time. So I think they just kind of simply label it as a side project. But yeah, that's not how it felt in the band. We just kind of felt like a band.
And we're not going to say who we're clarifying right now, but these publications know who they are putting this
Yes.
putting this stuff
Shame on them.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Their articles will be linked below. We'll just say that. Do you remember a discussion amongst the band about like the babies are kind of going on hiatus around this time, 2013?
Not really. Like we kind of toured the our House on the Hill record, and Kevin had already started playing solo shows, and it just kind of naturally felt like a time to take a break. And then I think personally, I was also a little bit. It was getting harder to work gardening jobs and go on tour. Like that was getting harder and harder to work out because yeah, like I ended up being the head gardener at this uh small company, and they didn't really want me like going on tour so much.
So you were kind of expecting a hiatus or a break from this from the project.
Yeah, yeah. Um for sure. For sure. It was just like it got to a point for me where it didn't seem clear what the next thing would be. And Kevin was doing solo stuff, and yeah, and then I got offered this like head gardener position, and I was like, well, I don't know what the next thing with music is, so let me just take this job. And yeah, I did that for like 7 years. Um, so yeah, yeah. And then Justin was doing night shop stuff, and Cassie was recording solo records. Uh, so
Yeah.
that's just kind of how it all worked out.
I'm assuming with the advent of Zoom, it would have been a lot easier to do the gardening job from
Yeah.
from the road. I think gardening and zooming goes hand in hand,
Yeah,
and I believe that.
I didn't really get any cool work from home time during the pandemic. You really got to be there to garden.
Now, you've been using drones recently, right?
Mm-hmm.
With like hedgers on them and weed whackers and such.
Yes, yes. And
You're
I'm
you
just in a big like mission control chair doing it all from the basement of an NYU dorm.
right, and it's I mean, and it's like, do you really want to go all the way up to the roof every time? No, just get a weed
No.
whacker on there, get it spinning, and then bring it up.
But to be honest with you, no, I literally don't want to go all the way up to the roof all the time.
No, that
It's
does seem
annoying.
it does seem like a hassle.
In the summer, it's hot. It's quite hot.
Forgot about. Do you usually
But I
have
get a
a?
nice tan. You wouldn't believe the tan. This summer was great for tanning because these Greek people were staying with me and they left this Greek tanning oil. So I would go down to the beach and put on the Greek tanning oil. And yeah, it was an all-time high as far
Yeah.
as the tan.
Will you be buying another bottle of this Greek tanning
I
oil?
might have to hit them up to send me a bottle because I don't even think you can buy it. I think it's not FDA approved.
Okay. Well, but you're working on it. You're working on getting some more.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I have a few months to get it together.
Right. Yeah, you gotta plan your tech. Maybe it's like, hey, Brian's going to Crete. Well,
Yes,
is he vacationing? No, it's a quick turn and burn, getting the
it's an
oil and
errand.
coming right back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's running an
maybe
errand.
just getting some oils, and yeah. I have 45 minutes from when I land to when I get back on that plane, so it's a really quick thing.
Yeah. So I do have to figure that out for next summer. But
Yeah, yeah.
that's a
When you do get the name of it, please send it over, Brian. I'm curious to know.
yeah, I'll text you a picture. It's like a spray bottle too. It looks like a Windex
Oh,
bottle. So you
was
just
was not expecting that. Thought it was going to be
yeah.
one of those.
No, I'm John Stamos now.
You're John State. Very yes, yeah.
Good tan.
Gr- Great tan, fantastic skin
Yes.
and hair too.
He's got it all.
He does have it all. Have you ever seen John Stamos?
No, no. We don't really run in the same circles.
Oh, I thought that you guys did.
Yeah.
That's on me. Do you see celebrities often while just traversing the city?
Yeah, yeah. Um, who did I see recently? I saw Chris Rock recently. I see Alec Baldwin all the time,
Mhm.
like maybe once a week. Uh,
Do you guys just go to the same bodega, or is it just like in passing?
he just lives like he lives um right in like the NYU zone.
Mm.
So
And
he's
we
always out
we
with
will be
his
giving the
children.
exact address
Yeah.
on the Patreon.
I
So
don't
if
know
you
his exact address, but I do see him walking up and down the block. And I feel like this is very kind of me. I don't even look at him.
you just
I
go,
look away. Yeah. Yeah, no.
so
No. He
Chris,
doesn't need another person looking at him.
no, come on now. So Chris Rock, Alec Baldwin, these are your guys. These are the
Hmm.
guys that you're hanging out with, not so
I
much John
see. Oh, I
Stamos.
always see. Yeah, not John Stamos. Amy Sedaris. Do you know Amy Sedaris? I see her walking around all the time.
Yeah, I do. I
She always
do.
looks cool and great.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
she's
a good one. That's an exciting one to see.
that is.
Yeah,
You know you don't really see so much of her on the television, but I'm glad that you're seeing her in person. It's nice.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, she kind of blends in, but I know it. I'm a fan. I like Amy Sedaris a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, she's cool.
How did you feel when this hiatus did occur? Did you feel like you were coming back soon, or did it kind of feel like it was like a no, we're gonna kind of halt this more than like we'll pick it up in a few months?
Yeah, no, it felt like more of a halt. Uh, yeah, just in that like it always was kind of clear what the next thing for the band was, and this was like a time where there wasn't a next thing. We weren't really planning anything. Um, so yeah, I kind of anticipated it being like a long time.
And did you? I mean, obviously you were getting more into your job at this point. Did you in turn step away from music just entirely for a bit when that first happened?
Now, when it first happened, I still was playing in bands, but then getting older and working and living in New York, like being in bands was starting to become like harder in that like weekly band practice was feeling like a chore, kind of, you know, our scene was kind of dwindling down. There was less bands to play with. Um, and then kind of during the pandemic, I wasn't doing any music really, or even a little bit before the pandemic, I wasn't doing any music, and I was definitely like, man, I need to like figure out a hobby or something. And then it was just so clear to me that like music is this thing that I've always kind of, or not always, but for most of my adult life did and like to do. Um, so that's when I kind of got back into it and uh yeah, kind of viewed it as like a passion hobby. Um, so yeah, for the last few years, that's kind of where it's been. But I have been doing it.
Was your stepping back into it uh with midnight calls? Was that kind of your first step back into making music?
No, that band was like a band that was just me and my friends from Brooklyn, and it was really fun, but also kind of an example of a band that like was kind of hard to do just because we didn't want to have band practice. We didn't really want to play shows, you know. I think we wanted to just like hang out and chit chat or whatever. I don't know. And then we're like, I guess we'll make like a demo tape. I don't know. Um, but we would play some shows, but that was kind of my last attempt at doing like a band. And yeah, all those people are still my dear friends, but we kind of just like hang out and
Chit chat.
chit chat and not and we don't have to like it's not the pressure of like having band practice or something. Or the structure. It's not pressure, it's like just the structure. Um so yeah, that was kind of the last band that I did. Um and then I just kind of started making music on my own and uh But Midnight Calls did this interesting thing where the singer of that band, Joe, he works for Stumptown Coffee.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Stumptown Coffee wanted to do like they wanted to put out a record of all their workers' bands. Um, so they asked Joe if he had a band, and he was like, "I do," but everyone in Midnight Calls couldn't do it. Oh, so the offer was to fly out to Portland, Oregon, stay in an Airbnb, record one song for this like compilation record that Stumptown wanted to do. And it just sounded really fun. So, because Midnight Calls couldn't do it, me and Joe and some other people just started a band called, well, Joe had a song called Sweet Dreams. So we started a band called Sweet Dreams Band. And then we were like, we'll go out to Portland and record one song, Sweet Dreams. And then we did that, and it was actually so fun because there was no pressure. Like we just had fun. We were recording one song. It's not real. Like this is a made up band.
Like
And
the
that
Monkeys or something like that.
like the Monkeys. Yeah.
A classic fake band like the Monkeys. Yeah.
Yeah, the Monkeys were recording one song for a coffee compilation. But
I mean, that's kind of their MO. So your modern day Monkeys is what it is.
yeah.
Right.
But that actually just gave me the idea that like, oh, like hanging with my friends and recording and having this like documented thing at the end of it is really fun. And I don't really care about playing shows, especially like a show on a Tuesday night, that's like not well attended. I didn't really care about that anymore, but I did want to record and I wanted to hang with my friends. So I started doing this band that was kind of my solo thing or my like music project called First Bloom. And I would just kind of pull people to record a song or jam and tape a live jam. And it was only just to be like, oh, let's hang and have fun and we'll have a little document of what we did. So it was really, big shout out to Stumptown for giving me the idea. But that was kind of after the like that band practices every week and then tries to play a show once a month. Like once that became like kind of exhausted, I was like, well, I still want to record and hang with my friends and play music. So maybe this is the way to do it. And at that point I had fully put it in like passion/hobby category. So there was no expectation for these recordings or anything. I just put them online or I made one tape of some live jams that me and my friends would do.
First Bloom was
Mm-hmm.
was the kind of the offshoot, if you will, of this of what you were doing with Midnight Calls in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as you said previously, it was kind of more improvised, jammier songs.
Yeah. Well, I first like had a couple songs. Well, First Bloom is just kind of what I called, like I used to make little zines and stuff and I would call it First Bloom. And I couldn't think of any better name. It just kind of became the umbrella that I put all my little art stuff under.
It's a good name.
Thank you.
I
Thanks.
like it. Yeah.
So then yeah, it just came to a time where I was like, well, I guess like if I want to continue to do music, I have to like write it, you know? So just to get the ball rolling, I wrote a couple songs and I recorded them with my friends. And that was fun, but like a little painstaking for me. I really hated being like in charge of the whole thing. And so we recorded a couple songs that way that were like actual songs with like verses and choruses and stuff. But then, yeah, then when I was hanging out with other friends, we would just kind of like do these improvised jams that I always really liked. Like I always liked listening to like when the Velvet Underground would do a jam, or there was this band that I saw in New York City called Endless Boogie that would like they just kind of their live set was just them jamming, and that was way more exciting to me than like, okay guys, here's my song, like it starts on a G chord, like let's just like so me and my friend Yusuke and my friend Michael and my friend Chuck, yeah, we would just set up a 4-track recorder, mic our guitar amps and drums, and just kind of do like a really loose jam and uh some we would jam for like not consecutively for 3 hours, but we would like do a 3-hour hang where we're jamming, and if we would call it catching a wave. Like if we caught a wave, then I would like snip it out. And yeah, I made a cassette of a couple jams, and I hope to do that more in the future. But even at this point, like coordinating, although even just like for a casual hang, getting 4 people in the room is like a lot of coordinating. um so
Just
then
to
I
chit
kind of,
chat, let alone
yeah,
produce something.
absolutely, yeah,
Right.
yeah, to get 4 people to dinner is hard.
To see 4 people that you even know in one given day, even outside of them being together, this is all just very hard
It doesn't
to
happen, yeah.
it does not happen.
So I hope to play with those guys again because I really liked doing that kind of improvised jamming. And yeah, and then for now, like I've just kind of been working on recording at home, a little bit more like atmospheric ambient stuff that I can create by myself. Uh, and it's all just kind of going under the umbrella of First Bloom.
I like it. Do you have an appreciation for this? I mean, this more improvisational jammy stuff is kind of on the same line as like a really well structured song that you were to play on like a baby song.
Definitely. I just like wasn't that great at writing a traditional song.
I
Like
find that hard to believe, Brian. I
Kevin
don't
and
buy into
Cassie
that.
are amazing at writing songs, and I love playing with them. Um, Justin's great at writing songs. I felt like definitely more identity in like an improvised, like catching a moment thing. That's what those like taping those jams felt like. Just catching a moment, and when we would catch a wave, you're like, oh man, we were like doing something there. And as far as like music and what I wanted the output of First Bloom to be, that just was like a little bit more authentic to what was exciting for me, and still is what's exciting to me right now. Like I don't sit around and write songs, but I'll write a riff or I'll have an idea and I'll be like, oh, this would be cool to jam on.
I like it, Brian. I like it. And you're back on guitar
Mm-hmm.
for this First Bloom, or at least what has been released from First Bloom
Yeah.
recently.
Mm-hmm.
Does that does playing that role in that band kind of make your mind move in a different way when you're recording as opposed to if you were on the
Definitely.
bass? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Because like you're like usually my friend Yusuke plays second guitar, and we're kind of both soloing and trading. You kind of have to be like in the moment, and um
Well, you kind of got to be playing both these roles of like I'm inside of what we're doing, but I'm also going where it goes.
yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um and that's what's fun about it. Uh but then when it comes to stuff like the babies, like playing bass is really fun because I can just kind of like jam along to the song. I know how it goes. I know where we're going with it, you know. um so yeah, it feels like totally different, but I really like playing guitar in that like improvised sense now.
Would you appreciate playing the bass in that sense as well as much, or a
I've
little
never
bit
tried
less?
it,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. I've never like jammed and played bass. I've always played guitar. Um, I think I would like it, but my friend Chuck, who played bass in Woods for a little bit, he would jam with us and he would play bass, and he was so good at bass and creative and cool. So like I would much prefer him do his thing.
Hmm.
Um, and then yeah, I would just stick to guitar.
Was it? Did you know? Did you purposely decide like I'm gonna play guitar on this, or did you kind of just take the guitar because Chuck was the name of the man,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
Chuck was involved with it, or
No, because I would like write the ideas that I would bring to those guys on guitar. So I would just kind of show them the riff idea or something, and then we'd kind of go into outer space with it. So I I just uh yeah, I just always kind of played guitar because that was my mode of like showing the guys what the idea was.
yeah, it's easier to have that as a jumping off point rather than a base like
Yeah,
idea, right?
yeah, for sure. For sure.
Do you find there's a different satisfaction putting stuff out as First Bloom as opposed to being a part of a group putting something out like the Babies, for instance? Is there a different sort of like a wow, this
Well,
is done?
yeah, first bloom, just because it's like my thing, there's a different like level of gratification that comes along, like, and it's totally like lower scale, like a different scale. Like the Babies just played 4 shows to probably close to like 4,000 people. That was incredible. Like I was like riding a high for weeks after that. I feel like I'm still riding it, but like First Bloom put out these jam cassettes, and like a record store in Japan ordered 8 of them, and I was like, this is so fucking cool that I'm mailing these weird cassettes to Japan. Like it was almost as exciting.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so it was just a different like scale, but uh, and the First Bloom scale is way smaller than the Baby scale. Uh, but yeah, it feels awesome
it's
just to do
different, but
something.
it's
Yeah,
still rad.
yeah, for sure.
I like that, Brian. Um, did it seem like as the years went on under this hiatus for the Babies that more and more people started to discover it? Did you feel like that was kind of the doors were opening like, oh, there's this band, the Babies.
That's something that was like truly a mystery. And I like you as an audience member, I'd be interested in your opinion on it, where it's like, yeah, when we were a band, we didn't play to this many people. I was like, well, who are all these people? Obviously, Kevin has had like a great career since the Babies, and Cassie and Justin have done stuff, but still, I was like, honestly, like, how did all these people hear about it? I have no idea.
Did that surprise you that there was a second wind of interest in the band?
Yeah, it totally did. Like when we announced the shows, I didn't know, we initially announced a Brooklyn show and a LA show, and they both like sold out in 24 hours, and I was like, "Oh my God." Like truly, who are all these people? So yeah, I was super surprised. And then we added another show in each city, and LA sold out, and the second Brooklyn show came close to selling out. So yeah, I was so surprised. I had no idea what to expect from it.
Was that a big milestone for you? Like, wow, we sold out a couple of shows.
Yeah, it felt great. It felt great. It was really cool.
Uh, did you feel like it was inevitable that the Babies were gonna play again? Uh, even
No,
oh, okay. Oh.
no. Everyone was kind of just doing their thing. Um, and again, I like maybe like Kevin and Justin and Cassie being out in the world as touring musicians and stuff, like maybe they heard more chatter about it, but no one ever told me that they wanted the Babies to get back together.
I
um
think you've been ignoring a lot of people's phone calls, Brian. I think that people were asking.
maybe.
You're like, I'm busy. Okay, kind of.
Yeah,
I got stuff going on. I got to go see Alec Baldwin. I got stuff
yeah.
happening.
Alec Baldwin didn't mention the Babies reunion, unfortunately.
Okay, but I bet you Chris Rock did, and you just kind of tuned it out. Is
Yeah.
is my
um yeah, so I had no, I didn't know what to expect, and I was so surprised when the shows uh, sold so well. And honestly, I was so surprised when the audiences were so fun and awesome when we did play the shows. Like it was unbelievable.
What was your reaction when uh the idea was floated to you to come back and play these shows?
Yeah, I was so excited because like I said, like that's so not part of my everyday life that yeah, I was like, oh, it'll just be so fun. Regardless of what the shows are, how they're attended, how the ticket sales do, like I just knew that it would be fun because I love everyone in that band. Um, so yeah, I was just so excited and
Uh,
totally like down for it.
I'm glad that we got that on the record. I know that there was Justin said, I don't know if Brian really wants to do it. He
Yeah,
said he asked me, can you ask him if he was
yeah.
what
I
his
just sent
thoughts?
dollar signs when they asked me, question mark.
Right. And uh, I we're not going to disclose it here, the amount that you got, but
No.
that'll be on the
Well,
Patreon.
they talked
And
to my lawyer. They talked to my lawyer and they negotiated something. So then I was excited after that.
there's there's hoops that you have to jump through in order to get this kind of thing to happen.
Yes.
And let's just say that the dollar signs were met.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We'll just say that I think legally that's as far as we can go with that statement.
Yes.
So going back to we mentioned it a little bit earlier, the practicing
Hmm.
and these sort of things before these shows. What was getting back on that horse like for you?
Well, I wanted to come prepared, so I like kind of learned all the songs before. Um, so I came, everyone came ready, honestly. You know, it it was just nice to like play the set and we figured out the set list and everything. And yeah, by the end we felt pretty confident that we had it. And then again, nothing prepares you for like the energy of a being in front of a crowd and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, we did like 6 hour practices for 3 days straight. It was like a lot of practice. Um, and we did that in Brooklyn, and then yeah, then we flew to LA and had a couple days off, and then we played. So uh, yeah, yeah, but I wanted to make sure I had all the stuff down, so I spent pretty much like the summer learning all the songs, and even songs that I thought like we might not play, but let me just learn them, and it was
Yeah.
really fun. Yeah.
Were you surprised about of how much that you did retain? You're like, okay, this is some of it was pretty easy, or was
No,
most
I was like, I thought I would. I thought it would be like muscle memory.
yeah.
Um, but it was a little, yeah, it was a little rocky at the beginning for me when I was learning them. But then I sat with the songs and then it all kind of came back. And then when we all were playing in rehearsal, I remembered like little things that I would do like to complement a drum fill or something. And then so then by the time we got on stage, I felt good about it all. But it was a process that took like months.
And you're a professional, and it was kind of getting you back out of that jam Grateful Dead headspace that you've been living
Yeah.
in was a little bit hard. You said, well, hey man, why can't we just kind
Yeah, I was
of
like,
just
can we
let
make
it
this song 30 minutes long?
I like to be able to breathe during a song. So let's
Yeah.
do 45. Let's explore wandering.
Yeah, stop stepping on me.
Look, alligator's cool, but let's add some crocodile into it. What do you say? Let's
Yes.
really get it
Let's do the
going.
whole animal kingdom.
Let's expand.
Yes.
Uh, if if you were tasked with, and I mean, let's just say that you're being paid like $1 million, so there was some, and I know that you usually don't kind of like 1 million. You're more like a 4 million kind of a
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So it's more of a charity sort of a thing for you.
Hmm.
If somebody offered you $1 million
Yeah.
to play on Friday, on this Friday, do you think that you could be able to play a baby show on
This
Friday?
Friday?
This coming Friday.
Yeah, yeah. I
It,
remember. Yes,
it's still fresh enough for you to be
it's
playing.
doable. Yeah,
Price
I like
wise,
that
might
there's money on the table too.
I mean,
Like,
I wanted to incentivize you about this, not just like a pro bono kind of a
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
I think I could do it. It
Okay.
might not be perfect, but I think I could do it because it is pretty fresh. That was only like a month ago that we did that.
And
Um,
and you haven't tapped back into your jammy sort of uh, vibe yet.
no, not yet, not yet. Maybe over
But
the winter. Um,
so as soon as that comes in, the other stuff gets pushed out, and the tie dye comes back on.
yeah,
You're wearing tie dye.
yeah,
It gets it gets changed.
yeah. We
You
go
know.
back to outer space. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
You got a house up there. It's nice. We understand.
Yes, yes.
Um, is there a possibility of a the babies tour again, a bigger tour perhaps?
I don't know. I don't know. Never say never. Um, Touring is so much more involved than like playing two shows in a one city
At the same venue, and you don't have to
at
bring
the
your
same
stuff
venue.
out. You could
Exactly.
just you
Yeah.
can leave it
Yeah.
there, right?
Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Anything we do in the future would have to like run through the filters of like if it's feasible for the four of us to do, Like the other three are not so much like this, but like I have the constraint of like literal just like vacation time. Like, do I have vacation time to do this thing? Uh like can I take a break from my job? Um and then Kevin has a schedule. Cassie just put out an amazing record that I hope she tours on. Justin's putting out a new record. You know, anything the babies do in the future would have to kind of like the offer would have to work with a lot of different things. So,
And especially the amount of money that you need to do this.
well, you said
Which
4 million, which I would definitely
that
consider.
that's low. That's a conservative
You have
number.
my attention at 4 million.
Yeah, but
You have me playing bass at 10 million.
can I sustain it though is the issue. Yeah, that's enough to bring you to the table, but realistically, we both know that that's not what you're going to be playing on.
Right.
So that's the issue that I'm facing right now.
A lot of variables. A
I
lot
mean,
of
I have your
variables.
attention, but it's not for how
No,
long?
but you're
For how
losing it.
long? I
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Time is money. Brian, I understand how you operate.
Yeah.
What do you continue to get out of just making music, whether it be with the babies or another kind of side project that somebody brings you in as a hired gun kind of scenario, or with First Bloom? What do you continue to get out of making music?
Well, honestly, it's just always, and this is kind of a cliche answer, but it like there's like a deep satisfaction to like creating something and like creating something that you put out into the world and something that you can stand behind. And especially with the First Bloom stuff, I'm like, well, I'll do this for the rest of my life because this feels like me. Like, and I feel like I got a home in the babies too. So I would do that whenever. It's really, but it just feels good to put stuff out and feel like you're creating something to share. Um, and yeah, I kind of want to be on that trajectory and finding gratification from music and art for the rest of my life. So I just kind of want to ride the wave of whatever that is in the moment, you know.
Yeah.
But I really do just love uh, just creating something and being able to look back and be like, oh wow, look at all that stuff I did, and be excited about the future, all the stuff I'll do in the future too.
Yeah.
And music has always just been the vehicle for that.
I think that was a good answer, Brian. I heard no
Thank you.
cliches in there. And I really, really appreciate you coming on here, Brian. Thank you very, very much, man.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
And we're gonna do it same time tomorrow, but just like for 4 hours this time. Okay.
Okay, I'm
Cool.
ready. I'm ready.
No, but thank you very much. But before I let you go, I got some promo to do here.
Sure.
So, First Bloom's music, is it streaming everywhere? Where do people get their music?
I don't know. I forget what I put it on. It's definitely on Bandcamp.
All
I
right,
would
so
check it out on Bandcamp.
go check it out on Bandcamp, and that's at firstbloom.bandcamp.com, and you can find the recent releases there, and you can buy the tracks and support you directly, right, Brian?
Yes.
Right on, good deal. And the people could
And
follow you
actually,
on
all the money I make from First Bloom, I donate. So there's that too.
because there's not enough money in it for you to keep it. It doesn't get your
I
attention.
or
It,
more realistically, there's just no money. So I'm like,
it's like $500,000
it's
basically,
empty.
no
Yeah.
money to Brian. It's like not, it
I'm
was,
like,
is it
I
even worth it?
donate every cent that I do not get for First Bloom.
The sentiment's there though.
Yes. No, I have everything I made off like the tapes that I sold, and I donate to Books Through Bars.
That's awesome. And for those like me who are uninitiated with this program, what does Books Through Bars do?
Books Through Bars, it just sends people in prison can request a book, and this organization will work it out to send that book to them.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it just gets books to people in prison.
That's good. Good deal. I like that. So yeah, you can go support that charity. And and I want to take this time to say, please do not try to patent the idea for the anything attached to a drone, any sort of gardening equipment,
Yes,
because that it's already patented. So
yes.
don't be
We've had a
innocent.
lot of good ideas during this podcast. Let's just say across the board,
Yeah.
there are ideas. Do
By the
not
time
steal
this
them.
this comes out, yeah, good luck getting to the patenting office because it's already going to be yeah. So just keep an eye out in
It's
Home
done.
Depot and whatnot. Yeah, it's already done.
Yes.
And the people keep up to date with what you're doing by following you on Instagram, right? If there's maybe a
Yes.
show that you're playing,
Yes. Yeah.
and that's at First Bloom on Instagram, but that's the O's where the O's would
Are
be in
zeros.
euros. Very cool.
I
Very
think I had to do that.
you gotta.
Yeah. Someone else had First Bloom, but
I think it's because the punk origins. If I'm reading this correctly, it's just like let me
yes,
do it a little bit differently. Yeah,
that's always the impulse. Thanks to punk.
raging against the word bloom.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
you might be experimenting with some jammy stuff right now, but I mean, raging against is still inside.
Yes. And punk.
In
Punk
punk,
is the coolest
punk,
forever.
come on, yeah, of course. And the baby's music is streaming everywhere, wherever people get their music. That's where they can find all this good stuff. And people could buy the merch at kevinmorby.merchtable.com is where you could find it. These new designs by Cassie, right? Cassie
Yeah,
designed the
yeah.
new ones.
Incredible. Yeah.
Very, very cool. Very cool stuff. Yeah, and that's available there. And do we have anything else to promote, Brian?
No, no. Besides, check out Kevin's record. Cassie's new record is incredible. Go listen to it. And Justin will be putting out a new record soon. So check that out too.
I don't like how this selflessness is happening right now, Brian. You're supposed
Well,
to be
go
like
listen to
me.
me and my
Yeah,
friends jam on firstbloom.bandcamp.com.
that's what I wanted. Perfect. And the other people if you have time as well. But
Yes.
Brian's the main star of the babies. Kidding. Yes, please go listen to Kevin's and Cassie. And what was Cassie's the name of the new record?
I think it's called Sweetheart.
Yeah, that sounds
Um,
correct.
I just want to double check that just to make sure I got it right. But um, yeah, I think it's called Sweetheart. It's so good. I've been
Yeah.
listening to it a lot. Yeah, Sweetheart.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So go check out
Check it out.
Sweetheart. I can't remember the name of Kevin's newest album, but whatever it is, or and go back and listen to the old stuff as well. And while you're waiting for the new Night Shop stuff, go listen to the old Night Shop stuff, Flatworms,
Yes.
um,
I
Yeah,
just saw Flower for the first time. They're incredible.
yeah, amazing, right?
Go see them live.
Yeah, for a three piece, there's so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
incredible.
Hmm. And go back and listen to Justin's interview if you haven't already. And yeah, Brian, thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna stop recording this. I'll talk to you in a minute. All right.
Okay.
All right. Cool. Thank you.